The floodplain of the river Ala Heim on the border with Senegal has a few interesting sites, and we spent a day here beginning near Penyem, another area of scrub and cultivation. Highlights included blue-bellied roller, here perched alongside a western red-billed hornbill, and rather more distantly, red-necked falcon, and double-spurred francolin, plus flocks of village weavers, and a roving party of brown babblers. Southwest of Penyem, the Marakissa River Camp is often a base for birding groups. The camp has a tame Senegal parrot. As it clambers around the bamboos, only a missing toe on its right foot is likely to give away its true domesticated status. The water pots here famously attract honey guides. We only saw this male greater, but others have also seen lesser and spotted honey guides here. The bowls were also visited by a purple starling and a long-tailed glossy starling. Searching along the river within the grounds revealed both African wattled and spur-winged lapwings, along with a few Senegal thick-knees. A white-crowned robin chat was located in a wooded area behind the camp's lodgings. Along with this female fine-spotted woodpecker. On the approach road to the camp, a small bridge overlooks a wetland where black crakes are regularly seen. We counted at least 8, but they were mainly hidden amongst the water hyacinths. Most were juveniles, with black rather than the yellow bill of an adult. In the distance was a perched palm-nut vulture. And by a small creek, our first West African crocodile, now considered a separate species from the larger and usually more aggressive Nile crocodile. Further downriver and west of the village of Dar Salamé, the floodplain of the river Ala Heim has created an extensive wetland area. Waders here included this greenshank. There were also Caspian terns searching for fish, plus gull-billed terns. A long-tailed cormorant showing the blotchy underparts of an immature, and this male pied kingfisher. Only males have a double breastband. It was carrying a fish, so presumably had a nest site close by. We also spent a full day at the southwest tip of the Gambia at the Kartong sand mines, in the excellent company of British expat Colin Cross, who runs the bird observatory there. Colin's house overlooks a series of lagoons, created, as at Tougering, by commercial sand mining activities. A pair of African swamp hens had nested on one of the islands on the main lagoon, and were still chaperoning a small chick. increasing numbers of white-faced whistling ducks appeared. This flock was composed mainly of juveniles, with just the one adult amongst them with the obvious black and white head pattern, whereas this group were all adults. A lone African pygmy goose was also out on the main lagoon. The indistinct head markings and dull-coloured bill indicate a female type, and the rather buff breast suggests a juvenile. There was no doubting, though, that this purple heron was an adult. A winter-plumaged Caspian tern patrolled overhead, on one occasion flying down for a drink. A short stroll revealed this malachite kingfisher, the black bill indicating it's a juvenile, and a Senegal kukul, a typically distant grey kestrel, and purple roller, plus a displaying male beautiful sunbird. Leaving the observatory behind, we walked out to the beach. Just inland, a few tidal pools held a scattering of waders. There were plenty of ringed plovers here, and amongst them some of the star birds of this area. White-fronted plovers. Males are usually more brightly coloured, particularly on the head, with a black bar on the crown. In non-breeding plumage, however, they can be virtually indistinguishable from females. Further along the beach were a larger concentration of shorebirds. These included sanderling, turnstones, grey plover, and Caspian terns. A vagrant Hudsonian whimbrel had been seen here recently, but we could only find the Eurasian form on our visit. Back towards the mangroves, we encountered a pair of spur-winged lapwings. With another watching over an army of fiddler crabs. A singing crested lark. And a pair of stunning blue-cheeked bee-eaters. They are winter visitors here from northwest Africa. Returning to the observatory, we came across a violet barbet, a species which favours lightly wooded grassland habitat. A soaring long-crested eagle, uncommon in the Gambia and easily identified by the large white patches at the base of the primaries. A small flock of hooded vultures. And this plain-backed pipit. It was one of 4 found in a dried-out rice field, the rest remaining out of filmable view as they foraged with a few yellow wagtails. In the afternoon, we drove southeast through the village of Kartong and on to the mouth of the Allaheim River for a boat excursion. As we waited for the boat to be prepared, a whimbrel entertained us with a crab it had just caught. And a mangrove sunbird put in a very brief appearance. Initially, we headed upriver. Passing the main crossing point between the Gambia and Senegal, the river here being the border. It was low tide, and the mangroves lining the bank were well exposed. On the Senegalese side there were huge mounds of shells, accumulated over countless years of fishing here. As we approached one, we flushed an osprey. We managed to get closer, but it didn't settle. As the tide began to flow, we returned downriver to a series of sandbanks. Here there were huge numbers of roosting terns and gulls. Most of the terns were winter-plumaged yellow-billed royal terns and larger red-billed Caspian terns, with fewer smaller black-billed sandwich terns. The commonest gulls were grey-headed, but there were also plenty of slender-billed gulls. Some even showing the pink flush more normally associated with breeding plumage.